Okay, so I'm incredibly lucky as an individual. Computers were introduced to schools when I was in primary school, and so technology has basically developed at the same pace as my learning. By the time I was in university, we had computer labs and we're having to deliver everything digitally. And so I think that's made a real difference to me because I just scrape in as a digital native, which is loosely anybody born after 1980. And I think also because I've had IT in a lot of my roles, I'm a lot more comfortable with technology than some of my peers. So I got the idea for this presentation after a series of incidents. I've been chatting to my partner and she said, oh, by the way, I did what you said. I Googled the last computer error I got and I was able to fix it myself. And then later that week, I was showing my mother-in-law how to do a few things on her cell phone. And she was completely blown away by how easy it actually was to navigate a cell phone and work the various apps like Snapchat and things that her kids were using. I think the key thing is that since the advent of computers, they have been making technology more and more user-friendly and a lot harder to break. So you no longer have to be a digital savant or an expert in order to use a computer at a power level. They're not for the elite anymore, they're for all of us. So what I'm going to run through today is going to be at quite a high level. I'm not going to dive into the detail in each section, but we do have a lot of links in the PowerPoint and in the notes, and I'll be sharing that after this presentation so that you can go in and learn how to do things in detail. This is also targeted at beginners or people who feel like they lack a little bit of confidence in the digital space. So if you're an expert, then you may not learn a lot, though there might be a few key reminders that can help you. So if you look here, these are the things the points that I'm going to run through, the importance of experimenting, how Google can help, how to protect yourself, and just basically how to be smart when you're using computers. So I think the first point that I want to make is that we need to stop being scared of technology. It is now actually really, really hard to break the computer or device that you're working on. There's this exercise that they often run with MBA students where they give you marshmallows, noodles, sellotape and string and say go ahead and build a tower. And what is really interesting is that adults, when they build a tower, are lucky if they can get the marshmallow noodle height off the ground. Whereas 4 and 5-year-olds, when they're given the same task and start building a tower, can often make the tower several meters tall. And the reason for this is because of the way adults and kids approach problems. So kids naturally prototype or try a lot of different things. So they don't go in with any idea of how they're going to do this. They just start trying things until something works. Whereas adults, what we tend to do is decide how we're going to do something and then execute that plan. And that's a mistake when you're working with technology. With technology, you need to try a whole ton of different things until you accomplish what you actually set out to do. So I think that's the first key message in terms of getting comfortable with technology, is give yourself the space and the time to practice and to play and to try things out. And the worst thing that can happen is that you have to perform a reset or reinstall of your device. And that's time consuming and frustrating, but it's not that difficult and it's not the end of the world. The next point I want to make is that if you're struggling with some aspect of technology, you shouldn't feel stupid about it. Sally Pefferangi recently put together a digital literacy framework, and she asked librarians from around the country to rank themselves. And on the whole, we score really, really badly in digital literacy. So if you're feeling uncomfortable with certain aspects of technology, then you're absolutely not alone. We're all deficient, we all take shortcuts, and we all stick to what we know. So it's important that we stop feeling stupid, stop feeling scared to try new things. We should be encouraging each other to branch out. Now this is, I think, a key point. Google is absolutely your friend when it comes to technology. Since the advent of Google, I have had my washing machine in pieces on the floor because we needed a crucial piece of uniform for the next day and it was 10 o'clock at night. I've been able to fix a systems error on my PC that previously would have baffled me. I've taught myself new software programs, how to sew. I've even managed to troubleshoot Lightbox. So if you have an error message or there is something you don't understand or you want to know how to do on your computer or device, then Google it. You can Google the error message literally and it will pop up with troubleshooting. However, and this is the caveat with using Google, if you do not understand the instructions, then the task or the computer thing that you're trying to achieve may be too complex for you. So this is my basic rule. If I can understand the printout of instructions, then it's within my pay grade. If I can't, I either need to find instructions that are written or more suited to me, or I need to hand it over to the experts. That said, some of the Microsoft Office instructions do actually read like Greek because they're incredibly bad at writing them. So if you look to YouTube or to somebody who writes in a style that suits your learning, that can be incredibly helpful. Now, there are some really easy ways to protect yourself from mistakes. Although I attended a cybersecurity session at a conference last Friday, and I'm now feeling more terrified than I was about some of the things that can go wrong in the cyber world. That said, if you have antivirus and anti-malware software and you're backing up regularly, you should be okay. So we'll begin with backups, because regardless of the device or system that you're using, backing up is absolutely crucial and should be mandatory for everyone. And I think something topical that highlights that is the recent earthquakes. So I've been trying to get some data from Statistics New Zealand, and it appears to me that they only had their servers in their building because they can't access any or a lot of their data since the quake, and they had to wait till it was safe to go in to get their website back up. And that highlights, I think, how important and how crucial backups are for our organisations. So you should note that all technology can fail, and it's not usually because of something we can predict or something that we've done. Your phone might fall in a puddle, your computer might have a meltdown, your server might die a pyrotechnic death, or there might be another quake. Now, the only reason that type of failure is scary is if you don't have your data saved so that you still have access. The tried and true principle of backing up is the 3-2-1 standard. So for each file you can't afford to lose, you should have 3 backups in 2 formats, and at least one of those should be offsite. So how does that translate into something manageable? Well, for my own data, I'm not that fussy about it, but it depends on what it is that you're talking about. I'm not overly sentimental, so if I lost every photo that I've ever taken digitally, I would be sad, but I would not be heartbroken. However, if you would be devastated at that kind of loss, then you're going to want to go for the high end of what I'm suggesting. So let's begin with the easiest, individual document backup. If there is a file, any file that it is going to kill you to lose, then you need to back it up. So how? Well, most software programs now have autosave. You can turn this on, and this function saves your work automatically every so often. I'm pretty paranoid, so I set my documents to autosave every 5 minutes, and I also get the program to autosave if I close without closing, or close without saving, which I often do at the end of the day if I've lost track of time and I'm shutting down in a hurry. Once you've got autosave working, then you need to back up your key documents. At work, we've worked with our IT provider, and our information is backed up hourly, and the server that it's saved to remotely backs itself up to another location once a day. So we're really lucky. We can recall a file that we lost, and we can always get access to earlier copies. At home, I don't have that luxury, and I'm pretty lazy, so I probably only do a full system backup every 3 months or so. So in order to save those files that I believe are absolutely crucial, I tend to email myself a copy to 1 or 2 different accounts, so that I've got electronic files in different places. The key thing to note is that you shouldn't be emailing documentation that is sensitive, so things with credit card details, your passport files, that type of thing. Email is not as secure as we would like to believe, but it does work well as a backup location. In terms of system backup, most computers these days, especially Apple computers, have a backup tool which makes it really easy to run your system backup. So the easiest thing to do is just set your computer to back up to whatever automated system that your computer has and let it send it up to the cloud somewhere. Phones do the same thing, and again it can be pretty easy to set up and let the syncing happen automatically. You can also sync your phone via Bluetooth to your PC and back up key files from your phone that way. Apple backups with iCloud have pretty good security, and they do take the privacy of your information seriously. If you move to some third-party backup provider, then it's important to ensure that the information is encrypted when it's traveling from your computer to whatever cloud storage space that you're using. And of course, you can also just copy your entire hard drive or document folder across to a portable hard drive or to CDs. Just remember that these aren't fail-safe and can be pretty fragile. And if you're going that route, you should probably back up to 2 or 3 different hard drives and don't keep them all at the same location. Now, what about malware and viruses? Well, a point that was made at my cybersecurity workshop on Friday was that malware and antivirus software only actually track viruses that have already been discovered and for which a fix is found. So they don't keep you 100% safe. But they are a good way to keep your computers free, especially if you're working in an office environment, from bugs and hassles. I'd recommend AVG Free as the best of the free antivirus software, and Malwarebytes is a good way of taking care of the stuff that, like Trojans, that antivirus doesn't deal to. You shouldn't need antivirus software or anti-malware on your phones if you follow some basic steps. And I'll go through these, and these steps to keep yourself secure do go for computers too, whether you have antivirus software or not. You don't need to stress about installing antivirus software. This has got really, really easy. You can just follow the instructions and it basically does it itself. Don't click that link. That is probably the most important piece of advice to keep yourself safe on the webs and to keep your computers virus free. If you don't know the source or trust the source, or if you get an email that looks slightly odd that has attachments or links, or you get a phishing email that is asking you to enter password or personal data, don't do it. Another point to note is that you should only be downloading apps onto your phone from the Google Play or iPhone stores. Official figures say that 20% of all apps in the ecosystem are malware. But when they say 20% of apps are malware, they're talking about the entire ecosystem. The number on Google Play is apparently less than 1% of 1%, and the same goes for Apple. And that is because both Google and Apple work very, very hard to identify the malware and to eradicate it from their system. So as long as you're getting your apps from Apple or Google, you should find that you have no problems with your cell phone. When you are loading software onto your computer, do use trusted sites and don't use third parties to get things like Adobe or Windows. If it sounds too good to be true or it's free when it usually isn't, then that's generally a sign that you're about to get got with something pretty nasty. You definitely do not want to be the guy on my university campus who opened the inner cornucopia email and shut our entire email system on campus down for a whole day. He was famous for all the wrong reasons, so do be careful. Another key point about keeping yourself safe is that you should listen to warnings. So to support the user-friendly nature that computers have going now, they do offer you a warning if you're about to do something really stupid. As annoying as they are, when a warning flashes up on the screen, read it. Read it slowly, try to understand it. Often when I'm trying to do something quickly or I'm uploading software, I'll click through those screens without really paying attention, and that's when I can find that I've downloaded a browser or done something I didn't plan on doing. So read them, and if you don't understand what they're telling you, then don't proceed until you're sure you can cope with the consequences. You also need to be serious about passwords. If your password to open your phone is 1234 for your email accounts, then you're asking to get hacked. Apparently, the three most common passwords are 123456, password, and QWERTY. So if you have one of these, you need to think about changing it. You should also have a unique password for every single site that you access. And again, according to the cybersecurity workshop I attended on Friday, the best passwords are long passwords. So forget trying to throw in capital letters or numbers to make them tricky. A string of random words is probably the best way to go. So book, house, car, fish, dog, cat, cauliflower is a really great password, and if you can remember that, that will be really hard for people to crack. So it's not the characters that you have, it's the total number of characters that a password hacker has to identify to break the password. Now, I really struggle to remember even a single password, and I think at this point the number of passwords I have to enter just to do my job is well into double digits. So I found that a password app or a piece of password software that holds my passwords for me is the best way to manage. Now again, these aren't foolproof. If someone really wants to hack you, they're going to be able to do it. But these do enable you to have much more complex passwords and to keep yourself safe. And the one that I've heard universally recommended is KeePass. So this allows you to have a master password, and then it holds the secure passwords for each of the sites that you're accessing. Another thing you should do is use two-factor authentication whenever it's offered by a site. So when I first saw Google were demanding my cell phone number, I thought, this feels like an invasion of privacy and I don't want to give them that data. But what it actually does is gives them a second way to verify that I am me when I'm logging onto a new computer. And that was actually quite, made me feel quite secure when I was recently traveling in the States. And every time I logged in from a new location, I got a message saying, enter your code, we're not sure that this is you. It can be a pain, but it is definitely worth it. And there are other smart things that you can do. So if you are working on a shared PC, always log yourself out of your accounts when you're done. Google, Facebook, any email accounts, any software. Otherwise, you could be giving access to your accounts to other people. You should also be setting up guest access on all of your devices. It doesn't take long, and that way you won't have the problem my partner had where a nephew managed to spend $30 downloading games to her phone. It also helps you keep your own information secure. So if you have guest access on your computer, then people can't browse through your documents or your personal files. And it also allows you to prevent people having administrative access to your device. You should also not enter personal details unless you see the HTTPS. That S stands for secure, and it means you have a secure connection. Don't save credit card information either. It may save you time, but it does put you at greater risk. So enter it fresh each time you log in. You also need to be careful what you post. Our phones track where we are at all times if we have our location data turned on. So that means when you take a photo, when you send a tweet, when you do all sorts of things on your phone, you're actually also sharing the location that you're at. Even photos capture metadata about your geolocation and other details that they grab from your phone. So it's really important to understand exactly what data each app that you're using is accessing and what it's sharing with other people, and make sure you're on top of that from a privacy perspective. You also need to be careful on public networks. In fact, if you're using any wireless system or downloading data via mobile, it's not secure. You can pretty much guarantee that. If somebody wanted to access the data that you're downloading through that wireless connection and they know how to do it, then they would be able to. Now, there are some great online tip sheets about how to keep yourself safe, which I share in the notes. And they tell you exactly how to lock down your computer. But that can be really complicated, and even a lot of really tech-savvy people don't bother with some of the steps. If you want to be really safe, you should just use a VPN or virtual private network to browse. CyberGhost is the best of the free versions and works on Windows, Macs and Android phones. However, there is a monthly fee for iPhones. Private Internet Access and TourGuard are two of the paid versions that get great reviews online. My favourite, bloatware. I recently had to run some pretty complicated processes on my computer because I discovered that a 3-year-old computer using Microsoft Office retains every single update and all files for that update. So I had on my 150 gig hard drive 124 gigs of Microsoft Windows updates. And that's what bloatware is. Now, if your computer or your phone is getting sluggish, then generally you can free up some space and memory to help keep it running smoothly by getting rid of bloatware. And tech guys, when they talk about bloatware and crapware, it's basically the software that comes with your phone or apps that takes up space that isn't particularly useful, or the data that your app is retaining in memory that it doesn't actually need to. So if you do get rid of these, it can speed it up. Especially if you have a lot of programs that are set to load when you start up your device, because that also slows it down. And there's some incredibly good online tutorials about exactly how to do this. So I won't get into the detail because it varies from phone to phone and computer to computer. The great news, however, if you are running a new PC, you don't have to defrag your hard drive anymore. They've started doing that automatically. Now this is where it starts getting fun. If you want to become a super user or get comfortable digitally, then understanding some of the things that you can actually do with your phone or computer is really exciting. So, the iPhone. Did you know it can beatbox? When I first prepared this presentation, I had the office in hysterics while we were playing with that one. You just instruct Siri to beatbox and off she goes. Okay, that's not useful, but it is fun. You can create your own customized vibration patterns so you know that it's your phone that's going off. You can find out exactly which airplanes are flying overhead, which is useful if you're waiting for a flight to land. Other tricks that I've heard of include double tapping your spacebar to add a period so you don't have to change screens, shaking your phone to erase text, using the volume buttons to take photos when you've got your camera app open, even if the phone is off. Other phone tricks, using your phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot. This one really helps me when I'm traveling and I've got something to send that's going to take too long to type on my phone keypad. I can just use my phone as a modem and away I go. Your phone these days can also work as a compass, a spirit level, a fitness tracker, a GPS and a scanner. And in fact, I have a flashlight app that means I can find my way around the garden in the dark. But that one does chew up a lot of battery. If you haven't thought about it already, you can also set a message on your lock screen for your phone or a password hint on your PC that states who to return the device to if it's lost, so people can get it back to you. You can also set your device up to lock and wipe remotely, so if it does get stolen, you can keep your personal data personal. Now, one more trick with smartphones is that smartphones, unlike computers, leave all the windows open as you switch between different apps. So like any program or device that's been open a long time, that can sometimes cause your phone to freeze or start having problems. So sometimes all you need to do to fix your phone, if it's playing up, is to go through and shut down all the apps and then restart your phone. And in fact, any device restart can have an amazing impact from a troubleshooting perspective. Computers and smartphones are becoming more and more alike, and they are becoming more and more exciting in terms of the possibilities around what you can achieve. I think my dream has always been to have a phone that also works as a computer, and it's finally become a reality. They now have the Microsoft Windows Phone that you can dock on a docking station and use as a full-blown PC as well as a phone. And in fact, since 2012, tech geeks have been publishing articles telling us how to turn our phones into PCs. The new app-based touchscreen world is the computer of the future, so the more comfortable you are navigating this technology now, the easier the transition is going to be for you. What's possible on your computer is now possible on your phone, and vice versa. So the final takeaway is don't let your device limit you. Thank you very much.